The situation constitutes a public health emergency of international concern.
Formerly known as Monkeypox. Yesterday, the World Health Organization.
Hello friends. Imagine waking up to the news that a virus, one most people have never heard of, was suddenly causing a global panic. A virus that had quietly existed in the shadows of African jungles for decades was now spreading across continents. This isn't a plot of a global Hollywood movie, but this is our reality. The Mpox virus, once a rare and isolated disease, has exploded onto the global stage, catching governments, businesses, and individuals completely off guard. But this video isn't just about the virus itself. We're going to explore how this unexpected outbreak is reshaping industries, influencing the stock market, and even altering our approach to global health. By the end of this video, you'll see why Mpox is a story that matters to everyone and why it's crucial to stay informed about what happens next. Stay tuned as this evolving story continues to unfold. But first, let's rewind to where it all began. It's 1958 and a group of monkeys in a research lab suddenly develop strange pox-like sores. Puzzle scientists named the virus Monkeypox. Fast forward to 1970s and the first human case is reported in the Democratic Republic of Congo, or DRC for short. At that time, the virus was mostly confined to Central and West Africa, living quietly in the dense forests and remote villages, infecting only those who came in close contact with wildlife. Now, you might wonder, if it's so rare, why should we even care? Well, Mpox belongs to the same virus family as smallpox, a disease that killed millions before being eradicated. While Mpox isn't as deadly, it's far from harmless. Those infected can suffer from fever, chills, body aches, and a rash that starts as a red spot and turns into pus-filled blisters. Most people recover, but in some cases, it can lead to severe complications like sepsis or brain inflammation. Now imagine living on the edge of a vast jungle in Central Africa, where life intertwines with nature. This closeness to wildlife comes with risk. One day, you'll encounter a rodent, just another ordinary animal, right? Well, you're wrong. This is often how monkeypox or Mpox begins. Rodents are believed to be the main carriers of the Mpox virus. The virus spreads through close contact, whether it's with an infected animal or another human being. Unlike the pandemic, Mpox requires personal skin-to-skin contact. It can pass through respiratory droplets, bodily fluids, or direct contact with an infected person's rash. It can even linger on objects like clothing or even your bedding. Containing Mpox isn't as straightforward as most people think. In areas with limited healthcare and poor sanitation, the virus can spread rapidly. This is especially true in regions where people live in close quarters with animals and where infrastructure isn't strong enough to contain the outbreak. Fast forward to 2023. What was once a rare and isolated disease suddenly turned into a global nightmare. In the DRC, a new, more aggressive strain of Mpox emerged. This strain wasn't just more contagious, it was more deadlier too, with a death rate of up to 10%. Tragically, children under the age of 15 made over 70% of the reported cases. As the virus spread, it didn't respect borders. By August of 2024, Mpox had been reported in at least 15 countries. The DRC remained the epicenter, but the virus also crossed into neighboring countries like Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda. The situation grew so dire that the World Health Organization declared Mpox a public health emergency of international concern once again. This global spread serves as a stark reminder of how interconnected our world is today. As the Mpox virus began to spread rapidly, pharmaceutical and biotech industries were thrust into the global spotlight, finding themselves at the forefront of the race to develop vaccines and treatments that could contain the virus and prevent it from becoming a global catastrophe. These companies, many of which had been working quietly in the background, suddenly became central players in a critical global health battle. Bavarian Nordic, a Danish pharmaceutical company, had been developing a vaccine called course, originally designed to combat smallpox. However, with the onset of the Mpox outbreak, Jynneos became a crucial tool in the fight against this new threat. After the World Health Organization declared Mpox a public health emergency of international concern, Bavarian Nordic stock surged by over 30%. The demand for their vaccine skyrocketed, particularly in Africa, where the outbreak was most severe. Bavarian Nordic quickly scaled up production to ensure that doses could be distributed to those in need, transforming what was once a relatively obscure vaccine into a vital component of global health response. This wasn't just about profits, it was a race against time to prevent a broader crisis. On the other side of the Atlantic, SIGA Technologies was experiencing a similar surge. SIGA had developed an antiviral drug called as Topox, which had initially been created to treat smallpox. As Mpox cases increased, governments recognized the importance of stockpiling Topox as a potential treatment for those infected. The US government in particular began purchasing large quantities of the drug, leading to SIGA's stock price doubling within a year. This wasn't merely a windfall for investors, it was a crucial step in ensuring that there were effective treatment available for those who contracted the virus. The spotlight on Bavarian Nordic and SIGA Technologies was only part of the story. The broader biotech sector experienced a surge in interest as investors sought to capitalize on the potential for new treatments and vaccines. Companies like GeoVax Labs and Chimerix began developing specific vaccines and treatments targeting Mpox. GeoVax in particular saw its shares surge by almost 300% in a very short period of time, driven by growing attention to its vaccine candidates. This surge wasn't just about speculative gains, it represented the high stakes involved in developing and deploying effective health solutions during a crisis. However, investing in these companies was akin to rolling a die. The biotech industry is notorious for its volatility, with stock price often swinging wildly based on the latest news or government policies. A single headline could send a stock soaring or even crashing, making it a high-stakes game for investors. This volatility was exacerbated by the unpredictable nature of the Mpox outbreak, where developments could shift rapidly due to factors like new research findings, government interventions, or changes in the behavior of the virus. Furthermore, the rapid innovation required to address the outbreak placed immense pressure on these companies. They had to navigate complex regulatory environments, ensure the scalability of their production, and manage public expectations, all while dealing with the uncertainties of clinical trials and the logistical challenges of distribution, particularly in the regions hardest hit by the virus. In summary, the Mpox outbreak not only posed a significant public health challenge but also reshaped the pharmaceutical and biotech industries. The response required rapid innovation, significant financial activity, and an unprecedented level of collaboration between governments, private companies, and international organizations. The crisis underscored the importance of agility and preparedness in the face of global health threats and highlighted the critical role of these industries in safeguarding public health on a global scale. But the impact of Mpox didn't stop at health. It sent shockwaves through the global economy. As governments around the world scrambled to contain the virus, the economic ramifications began to unfold. Unlike the pandemic, the financial commitment to managing Mpox was expected to be much lower, primarily because Mpox wasn't as contagious. But that didn't mean the economic effects were insignificant. The outbreak created new uncertainties in the market, particularly as new variants of the virus emerged. The stock market responded with increased volatility, especially in sectors tied to healthcare and biotechnology. Investors were on high alert, keeping a close eye on companies involved in Mpox-related treatments. The stocks were viewed as high risk, but also potentially high reward opportunities, reminiscent of the speculative behavior we saw during the early days of the pandemic. Back then, companies like Moderna saw their stocks skyrocket as they developed vaccines. But with this kind of volatility comes great risk. Companies that rely heavily on Mpox-related products could see their stock prices fluctuate wildly, driven by headlines, government decisions, and the unpredictable nature of a public health crisis. However, the ripple effects extended beyond just the stock market. The broader global economy felt the strain as countries implemented containment measures that disrupted trade, travel, and everyday businesses. Industries that were already vulnerable, such as travel, tourism, and retail, were hit hard by fear and uncertainty surrounding the outbreak. Airlines saw a significant drop in bookings as travelers cancelled or even postponed trips. Retail businesses faced a dwindling foot traffic as consumers avoided crowded places, and the global supply chains experienced delays and disruptions as broader controls tightened and countries prioritized domestic needs over international trade. For example, major retailers reported declines in sales as consumer confidence waned, with some companies forced to close stores temporarily in affected regions. The tourism industry, still recovering from the impacts of the pandemic, faced another blow as destinations popular amongst international travelers saw a significant decrease in visitor numbers. This in turn affected local economies dependent on tourism revenues, leading to job losses and reduced economic activity in these areas. Moreover, the outbreak exposed the fragility of global supply chains as countries prioritized the production and disruption of essential goods. Non-essential items experienced big delays, leading to shortages and increased prices in some markets. The interconnected nature of the global economy meant that disruptions in one part of the world had cascading effects elsewhere, underscoring the importance of resilience and adaptability in economic planning. In many ways, the Mpox outbreak became a test of resilience for both markets and companies involved. It highlighted the delicate balance between public health and economic stability, showing just how intertwined the two worlds really are. The decisions made by governments and corporations during this time would have lasting impacts, not just on the immediate response to Mpox, but on how we prepare and respond to the future of a healthcare crisis. The outbreak emphasized the need for robust public health infrastructure, stronger international cooperation, and more resilient economic systems capable of withstanding the shocks of a global health emergency. Imagine if a similar outbreak happened in your community. How prepared would you be? Whether you're an investor, a healthcare professional, or simply a global citizen, the lessons from this outbreak will shape your future. Take this moment to reflect. How prepared are you for the next global health challenge? That's all I have for you today. Stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.